Hey guys, what's going on? Back again with another profile. For this time, something a little bit different from the ones I'm usually doing. Today I'm going to be giving you a Digimon deck profile. This is a relatively new card game, only been around for a year, but I've been getting into it. It's really enjoyable. Today's profile is going to be from support based on the new set that just came out, BT-7, and is going to be a black X-Antibody deck profile. So let's get into it. So we'll start with the babies, which is 4 copies of Doraemon. Doraemon has an ability that if you add a Digimon to the Digivolution stack, you're allowed to draw a card if it's via an effect. So a lot of the X-Antibodies have abilities that allow you to add a X-Antibody Digimon into the Digivolution stack, and these inheritance abilities usually give you some form of benefit. So Doraemon's really good because it allows you to draw an additional card, which is a nice plus. So it's the only baby we play because there's just no other baby that can really compare. So it's a good start off. Next card I play is 4 copies of Doraemon. This is the new Ricky from BT-7. This is the X-Antibody card. Doraemon is the searcher of the deck. On play, you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, rather, and add a Digimon with X-Antibody in its trait and a Kota Demoto, which is the new X-Antibody tamer. And for his inheritance effect, if you add a Digimon to the Digivolution stack, you gain an additional memory. So Doraemon's a really good rookie Digimon. I think it's probably the best rookie in the deck by a mile, just because it gets you plays. You don't even need to really play it down to get value. You can just use the memory effects, and it's giving you value. So definitely a Digimon you want to play at maximum merit copies if you can. We also play 4 copies of Toyagamon. Toyagamon is the BT2 Toyagamon, so this is the one with Reboot. As you all know, Reboot's really good for black. It just allows Digimon to attack and then unsuspend during your opponent's unsuspend phase. You know, it just prevents them from being deleted by attacks or anything, and Reboot's just good for enabling blockers, because there are some synergies with the blocker cards, because black is all about blocking, as you know. I also play 2 of the Structure Deck Toyagamons. So this was just here because I don't have the Sunrisemon that provides additional security attacks or piercing, because that's a very expensive card at this point, and I'm not a competitive player by any means. I just play this deck because I love the X-Antibody lore and Digimon. Like Doraemon and Alphamon are my favourite Digimon. So Toyagamon just allows me to draw an additional card if my opponent doesn't attack as a Digivolution source. So it's not amazing, but it's decent enough that I think it's a good, solid backup plan. And the other rookie I play at 3 copies is Chikurimon. Chikurimon's just a nice security Digimon. If it ends up in your security and they attack into it, you get to de-Digivolve one of their I'm about to say Pokemon then, no, blasphemy. You get to de-Digivolve one of their Digimon, which can come in useful. It means they have to work hard again, waste memory to get the Digimon back up to where it needed to be. So it's pretty good. For the champions, I play 4 copies of Darugomon. Darugomon is one of the new X-Antibody cards as well. So on your opponent's turn, if he has a Digimon with X-Antibody in his traits, in his Digivolution sources, or if there's another Digimon on your board with X-Antibody, he becomes a blocker. And for his inheritance effect, you get 1,000. The Digimon gets 1,000 DP during both players' turns, which is very useful for just protecting your Digimon from being deleted by attacks. Because it's the worst feeling in the world when your Digimon is destroyed by another, because your opponent didn't really have to commit to much to get rid of it, which is always a bummer. So Darugomon, small effect, but decent enough, I think. I also play 4 copies of Dark Tyrannomon. This is from the black starter deck. Yeah, he's just a solid Digimon. 1 cost to evolve, so really cheap. Has blocker, solid card. Don't think there's anything really more to say about him. I play 1 copy of Black Gaugamon. So this is an interesting tech choice I've made. I like him because allowing Digimon to gain jamming with when they have Reboot is quite an interesting ability. So with Dorogoromon, most of the time it won't really matter too much because of his ability to beef his own DP. But Alphamon, the other boss monster, is a little bit weaker, and sometimes you won't be able to have as much attack DP. So by having jamming, this protects him from having to use memory to boost his DP to keep himself safe. If you give him Reboot and jamming, he can just swing in. You don't have to pay any memory, and it just allows you to be greedy with that 2 additional memory. So I think it's an interesting tech card, and one I've been tinkering around with. It's pretty okay. And 1 copy Shademon. This just could be any other blocker in the game. This could be a Mechanorimon easily. The reason I'm playing this, though, is I quite like the security option, being able to play it for free without memory. Can really catch your opponent off guard. But it could be any other Digimon, really. I mean, it can't attack, which is a bit of a bummer, but this is just more for a defensive lineup card anyway, so that doesn't really matter too much. But this could be a Mechanorimon. This is, again, one of those flex slots, like, it's going to be depending on player preference. And that's it for the level 4. So level 5s, we have what I think is the best card in the X-Antibody lineup for BT-7, Doru Greymon. Now this card is really powerful for a cost of 3. You may place a Digimon with X-Antibody in its traits into this Digimon's Digivolution sources on Digivolution. So the other benefit of that is you also protect it from losing DP or being deleted by card effects. So this is really good because a lot of the time, the biggest worry with the X-Antibody strategy is getting the necessary components into the stack to make your level 6s uber powerful. With Doru Greymon, once you Digivolve into him, he allows you to have any pieces that are just lingering in your hand and attach them into the stack. So anything you miss, like a Dorumon or a Dorugumon, you can just add to the stack and gain some benefit that way. And at worst, even if it's not a beneficial effect, you can, like an Alphamon, for example, because Alphamon doesn't have an inheritance effect, you can still put him underneath against, in the yellow matchup and protect your Digimon from being deleted or losing DP, which is big. And to cap it even off to make this card even better, for his inheritance effect, he provides a Digimon with X-Antibody a security attack +1, which is sackable. So if you have 2 of these in the sources, that's a security attack +2, which is huge. So I think Doru Greymon is easily the best in the new X-Antibody line, and definitely a 4 of. I mean, they're all a 4 of because they're all solid cards, but I also play 4 Warumonzemon. This is a bit of a race that you want to quickly get to your level 6s as fast as possible. So Warumonzemon's really good for that because a level 2 cost to get to a level 5 is really good, and it's just not really much else to say about him. And he's also a play cost of 5, so if worst comes to worst, you can just drop him down and then just evolve into Alphamon or something quickly, just to get some additional memory for later turns. So I think he's pretty good. Definitely one of the better level 5s. But as we get more X-Antibody cards, we will be dropping those kind of cards down to a limited number because we don't need them as much. But I also played 2 copies of Megadron. This is from the Black starter deck. Gives a Digimon blocker as an inheritance, so very useful with Toyagumon to give it blocker and reboot. Just a solid level 5. Again, this is another card that I think when you get more X-Antibody cards, you will be trimming the number down. But I do like this as a generic black card. You can throw this in any deck as a level 5, and it just be pretty decent. So, not bad. Definitely a solid card. And then the final level 5 is one Gogmamon. Gogmamon is just to help boost the Digimon's DP over a certain limit and get more additional threats out of the way. Also provides a Digimon with an extra 1000 DP if it's used as a source. Again, this is probably the worst level 5 in the deck, hence it's only at 1, because Digibursting with the X-Antibody strategy is pretty terrible. But the plus 1000 DP is okay, and sometimes you need the extra DP to get over something big if it's going to be a problem. So Gogmamon's pretty good in that regard. Anyway, on to the level 6s. I'm going to start off with the OG and the man himself. 4 copies of the BT-6 Alphamon. So this card has a security effect. I mean, I love the artwork for starters, but this card has a security effect if you attack into the security and Alphamon is flipped. First off, he's added to your hand. But then, if there's an X-Antibody Digimon or a Royal Knight Digimon on the board, you can choose up to 12 of your opponent's Digimon, and they can't attack for the rest of the turn. So he can actually come in and save you from lethal sometimes, if the conditions are met right. Which is pretty funky, but that's not really why you play him. The reason you play him is that he's essentially a very cheap level 6, has X-Antibody in its typing, and it's also a memory generator. You can pay a memory, up to 5 memory, and for every memory you pay, he gains 1000 DP, and after the attack is ended, he gives you 2 memory. So right now, he's pretty decent. You're not amazing, but he's pretty okay. He's a good solid level 6, but he's just nothing crazy, right? But in the future sets, he'll get a lot better with Oriumon, who has an inheritance ability that if this Digimon has Alphamon in the name, unsuspend this Digimon after attacking, which is really good and allows you to manipulate that memory attacking ability, because it's not a once per turn. So Alphamon right now is just the other level 6 X-Antibody because, there's nothing else you can replay. You can definitely cut him down to 3 copies if you want, but as he's my favourite Digimon, I'm just going to play 4 of him because, it's fun. As for the new boss monster, 4 copies of Doru Goramon. Doru Goramon is the new boss monster, and he's quite a big beast. He is a cost of 3, so again, really cheap. 11k DP, which isn't a lot, but that's because for every X-Antibody in this Digimon's traits, he gains 1000 DP during your turn, which means he can be a really big threat with enough boosts. Like Dorugumon gives him 1000 DP, then he's also an X-Antibody, so that's 2k DP right off the get-go, which makes him 13k, which is enough to usually swing over most things, unless it's like a level 7. So he can get to high DP levels really quickly. But the main benefit of Doru Goramon is when he attacks, you can take a Digimon in your hand that has X-Antibody and put it at the bottom of this Digimon's Digivolution cards. So any trait you're missing, like a Dorugreymon or a Dorumon or anything else, you can just attack with Dorugoromon, put it under the stack, and then he'll gain the pieces. This is why I said this deck is very combo piece reliant, because you need to find your Dorugreymons, your Dorugomons, and set them up. And Dorugoromon effectively gives you this leeway where if you miss anything on the stack, it doesn't matter because you can attack and reattach it at a later date. Which is why I really like this deck. I think it's a cool gimmick that you don't have to panic about getting the right pieces on the stack when you're building the board up. You can just add them in later. You just say, I just need to get to Dorugoromon and start swinging. So, really awesome. I love this design as well. I mean, big dragon, how can you go wrong? And this one where he's just destroying Omnimon's sword is actually kind of crazy. But that's it for the Digimon. So we're going to go on to the options and tamer cards now. We'll start with tamers. I play 4 of the new tamer Kotodamoto. This is the only X-Antibody related tamer we have at the minute, so later on we're going to get more. But for now, if you have 2 memory or less, set your memory to 3 at the start of your turn. Solid effect. And on play, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck and add an X-Antibody Digimon from those 4 into your hand. Pretty solid, pretty great. Love the consistency boosting and the ability to just put your memory to 3. It's like a better Izzy, just specifically for X-Antibody. And yeah, it's definitely a 4 of right now because there's no other tamer that really does the job well. And with hybrids being a thing, because you know, may notice I don't have any hybrids at the minute. Because there is Grumblemon you could play that's a good win condition, because you can just like swing, you clear your opponent's security and then just drop Kota into a Grumblemon attack for game. I'm not playing those yet because again, I'm still tinkering with stuff, still trying stuff. And I know Grumblemon's like a good card to play, so I just want to test other stuff before I, say, okay, like how do I want to play it? But Kota's just a good tamer for this deck, and yeah, not really much more to say on it. I don't know why I dwelled on that so long, but yeah, he's just good. And then for the option cards, I play 2 copies of Black Memory Boost. Still good for consistency. This deck is very inconsistent at the minute. It's missing a lot of the pieces. Not all your Digimon are X-Antibody, so they can't capitalize on the effects. But Black Memory Boost allows you to dig your deck for 3, and then gives you 2 memory back later, which means it's effectively a 1 cost when you need it. You play 3, play 3 initially, and then you get 2 back later. So in reality, it's only like a 1 cost at some point. So still a really good card. Defo going to be dropped when we get the new X-Antibody support later on from the next 2 sets. But for right now, it's definitely a great card, and I would play this in some form or fashion. And then for the option cards, I play 2 copies of Brave Metal. Now this is the basically the flex. You can either play Iron Fisted Onslaught, Brave Metal, or Ultimate Flare. I play Brave Metal just because I have it on hand, and I think it's a nice flexible option in comparison to Iron Fisted Onslaught, which is an 8 cost card if you cast it from the hand. Now if they hit security with it, it costs for free, which is great. But I think for 8 costs, that's a very expensive option card, whereas Brave Metal can do a similar thing as long as you've got the stack in play, which is conditional, but at bare minimum, in a pinch, if your opponent has a Digimon with a play cost of 6 or less, which some people do play, like level 5s that have a play cost of 6, because they want to get cheaper, like Warubonzemon, you can just drop this and delete it and just get rid of an entire stack. But if you have Dorugoromon with 5 stacks, 5 digicards in his sources, you just get to delete any Digimon for 5 cost. Which I think is very good. It's very good. Very situational, very like conditional, but still a really good card, and one I think is definitely worth a spot. But yeah, that is my X-Antibody deck profile. Let's shout out Glass Hammer Gaming. We usually go up there for Thursday evenings to play some Digimon, sometimes on Saturdays after Yu-Gi-Oh! And whatnot. But yeah, it's a really good environment. Just want to shout them out and give them a bit of a fun. But yeah, if you're in you're near Oaken Gate Summit, come down, have some games. We're a small community right now, but yeah, I think this game's really fun, and really looking forward to the next 2 sets with more X-Antibody support, where this deck becomes a lot more powerful and a lot more threatening. Like, I just like it because the Digimon in it are some of my favorites. Like Dorumon and Alphamon are amazing, and Dorugoromon looks amazing. It's just either like a little lion dude that turns into a dragon. Like, that's my jam. So yeah, but I hope you enjoyed this profile. It's been a bit something different. I know as some of you are into Yu-Gi-Oh! And not this, but I thought I'd try something different, get some other card games on the channel, because I enjoyed both these games. But yeah, with the next profile, I think we will be taking a look at a Phantom Knight deck profile. So look forward to that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.